Hi, welcome and welcome back. I hope you're doing well. Should you confront the narcissist? Should you? I don't know about you, but I have some thoughts about this that I would love to share with you. You may have some thoughts and experiences as well that might be helpful to someone. If so, comment below. I'd love to read them. I had to deal with this situation today, like literally this afternoon. And it wasn't like, oh, when I was 5 and my dad said this and he made me cry and blah, blah, blah. No. I literally had to make a decision and a judgment call about confronting a narcissist today. I was in a professional meeting with a group of people that I meet with on a weekly basis, and occasionally outsiders will come and visit the meetings, and they're encouraged to participate, audit, etc. And there was a man who chose to do so today. So during the meeting, I was asked to evaluate one of the other members, and I prepared an outline and wrote some notes down and was getting ready to deliver my evaluation of my fellow member when I was startled. I reacted to being startled and then paused, saw that everything was okay, and then launched into my evaluation of my peer in the meeting. The man who had come to visit the meeting today had an issue with the way that I reacted to being startled. And I won't get into the details of it because it's kind of long, but I may share that as a communication breakdown in another video. But just know that he had an issue with the way that I reacted to being startled. And it wasn't anything catastrophic, but he claims that he was offended by the way that I reacted to being startled. So what he did was he started private messaging me on Zoom in the chat, and he was correcting me. You said this, you shouldn't say that. You should say this instead. You shouldn't do this because it's this. Okay, here's why I said that you shouldn't say this, and here's all the reasons why, and here are all my qualifications to speak on this matter. And literally, this guy ended up private messaging me for like the back half of this meeting. And it was like an hour-long meeting. But he was private messaging me. He started like small, and then they got longer and longer and longer. And he just kept coming and coming and coming. And not only that, he started copying and pasting messages that he had already sent me because I didn't respond. I sat on Zoom while these private messages popped up in the chat for me from this guy who I don't even know, who's not even a member of the group. And I continued to smile and participate in the meeting. And I watched the messages pop up one by one, and it kept going. He wouldn't stop. He wouldn't let up at all. And I thought, okay, I see what's going on here. I know who I'm dealing with, and I know who I am, and I am not going to respond to this. And he's looking for a response or a reaction from me, and he's going to keep coming at me until I break and say something to him. And I won't lie, I felt really tempted and came this close to putting him on blast in front of the entire Zoom meeting. And the fact that he had been private messaging me unbeknownst to everybody else. Like, that's the thing with this, that you have to understand that a lot of people, no one saw this because it was in the private chat on Zoom. And this guy literally was bombing me in the chat with these messages. And I knew he was waiting for me to react, and I knew that he was trying to bait me into some kind of an argument or debate or discussion. And I wasn't going there. I'm like, I'm not going there. I already know what this is. I already know what this behavior is, and I'm not giving him that. So then it occurred to me that, okay, if he's staying the duration of the meeting, he's probably going to make an attempt to come at me from another angle, since he's already flooded my chat with all these messages privately. And so what I started doing, though, was I started copying the messages and then sending them to the president. And I was like, look, this guy's messaging me privately during this meeting. Look at what he's saying. Here's the message. Here's another one. And the president's like, oh my gosh, that is so not okay. But no, other than that, no one else could see that this guy was doing this. So I literally had to copy and send the message to the president so that he could see what was going on behind the scenes. So there came a time when awards and acknowledgments were given during the meeting. And I was awarded best evaluation for the evaluation that I gave of my peer and fellow member. And I thought, okay, I'll bet anything that this guy is going to say something. He's going to try to do something like embarrass me or call me out or escalate what he had already started in the private chat towards me in front of the group in some capacity. I'm not sure what, but I'm sure he's probably going to try to do something publicly in front of the group. And dude did not disappoint. So this guy spoke up after I was awarded best evaluator. This guy speaks up in the group with his camera turned off, mind you. He speaks up in the group and he says, oh, I don't think that she should be awarded best evaluator. I don't think she did a good job at all. And she said this in her evaluation, and that's wrong, and here's why. And I don't think she was the best evaluator. She shouldn't be the best evaluator. Do you believe that? And so no surprises there for me. I thought, okay, boom, there we go. He did it. He took it to the next level. And I'm sure that he would have loved nothing more than for me to try to defend myself in front of my peers out of embarrassment and trying to qualify and justify and explain and this and that. He had no idea that the president and I had already been chatting privately about his messages and the content of them. And not only that, that the president totally had my back. And he makes this complete spectacle in front of the group. Of course, everybody else is just looking in shock, like, what is going on? Because they didn't see the private messages. Because he did it covertly. Okay? This is like real talk, real time for you guys. Like, this just happened today. So it's all fresh, it just happened, and it goes right along with what we've been talking about, right? So basically, everybody just kept quiet. No one really said anything. Everybody kept moving forward. I was awarded best evaluator. I happily accepted my award with a smile and kept it moving. And I still didn't respond to his messages in the chat. I kept a smile on my face. I didn't look at him. I did not go through his messages in the chat. And I continued to engage with my peers in the meeting like nothing happened. And I'm sure that he escalated it for that reason, because he wasn't getting a response from me and baiting me into some kind of a ridiculous debate privately or covertly. But this is what people are talking about when they say that, no one gets it and, it's insidious, what happens behind closed doors, or in this case, what happens in the private chat on Zoom. Now, I don't know if this guy is aware of it, but you can actually save the private chat on Zoom. And this is a little free game for you all, especially those of you working in professional settings where you may be on Zoom with people and you may find yourself being attacked by someone who's narcissistic and who will not let up because they're not getting the reaction that they want and need from you. You're not paying them any attention, right? You can actually save the chat on Zoom. There's like 3 little dots in the corner. If you click on them, it'll say save chat, and all you do is save it, and it'll pop that the chat in a folder in your documents folder on your computer or whatever you have, and it'll be labeled Zoom. The folder will be labeled Zoom, and you click on that folder, and then you'll see the date and the chat that was saved. So you can literally save your Zoom chats. And thank you to one of my fellow officers in the group who gave me the heads up on that. She's like, save the chat. And I think she actually flagged the guy in the Zoom call. So she had already done some stuff on her end to try to get rid of him. But he stayed until the end of the meeting. And of course, one of the members who had no idea what was going on invited the 2 guests, which included this guy, and there was a woman as well who had come to visit, invited both of them to stay after to get their questions answered. And I thought, oh boy, I'm sure this guy is gonna savor the opportunity to stay after the meeting ends so that he can come at me again. And guess what? When the meeting ended and most people logged out, this guy stayed. Both visitors actually stayed. The woman and this man both stayed. But this guy stayed, and I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised at all. I'm like, he's gonna stay, and he's gonna bring it up again and try to escalate again. And dude didn't disappoint, per usual. When this lady finished asking her questions and then logged off, this guy stayed, and he brought up again my reaction and how, I was wrong and how I shouldn't have done that and all this other kind of stuff, and attacking me. Seriously, I mean, it was really over the top. I mean, first of all, the guy conflated what happened with me getting startled with my evaluation, and he lumped everything together as though my reaction was part of my evaluation of my peer, which was not the case. But still, he conflated all of that and then pushed forth this whole agenda to like attack me for the way that I reacted and to make a big case about it in front of the entire meeting. Like, it was really out to lunch. And the funny part was that everybody was really creeped out by this guy. I mean, people could just, even on Zoom, people could feel the energy. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, like who's this? Like, can we get rid of this guy? And, I kept a smile on my face until the very end. And then I shared with my fellow officers, because we stayed back for a meeting at the very end after he even logged off, and discussed what happened and what was going on behind the scenes. And on the surface, everybody was really confused because it just looked so weird, just the way he was coming at me in the meeting and all this stuff, and they had no clue about all the messages and what have you. So it was just, I mean, it was really, no one, I think everybody was thrown off because no one had experienced anything like this before, and definitely not in the context of our meetings, because they're usually pretty tame, they're pretty quiet and professional and fun and positive, right? And I think it just goes to show you that narcissists bring a lot of negative energy wherever they go. And they are literally looking for reactions and looking for attention, looking to lash out at somebody, attack someone so that they can feel better. Because that's what this was all about at the end of the day, was this guy getting an ego boost and getting the satisfaction or supply of watching me defend myself, get upset, go back and forth with him in the chat, or debate with him openly in the midst of the meeting, and just being disruptive and just toxic. And I told the officers today, I said, this is exactly why I do what I do. What happened in this meeting today, this is exactly why I do what I do. I had that guy's number right away. And I called it, everything he did, every step, every escalated effort that he made to get a reaction from me, or to get me to engage with him or debate with him or argue with him. I called each and every step of the way. like clockwork. I've talked to so many people who are just frustrated on their jobs, who are just feel stuck or feel stifled or feel just hopeless maybe, because they can't just go to work, do a good job, be rewarded if it applies, and go home and collect their salary. They've got to put up with stuff like this guy has to dish out. The digs and the jabs and the baiting, you know, for attention, for reaction, so that he can feel better. The upshot of it all was that my peer group of officers and fellow club members had my back the whole time. Even the ones that had no idea what was going on behind the scenes totally had my back. And they are probably going to be working on a policy going forward to ward off that kind of behavior. And let me tell you this, I think a lot of organizations are going to start doing the same, because they're realizing that they're losing good people because of people like this guy who are coming in and draining people and baiting and attacking and trying to sabotage people. Good people who actually contribute good things to the group, whether it's a professional group or whether it's an organization like a workplace or company. And the times are changing, and people are seeing this as a liability, and they are starting to get rid of these types. And this group that I'm in is no exception. In fact, someone actually said out loud, I don't want to have him back. Should you confront the narcissist? Well, today I didn't. I felt like I knew what was going on. I knew who and what I was dealing with. I literally could see his efforts unfolding step by step by step up until the end. And I kept a smile on my face and kept moving forward within the context of the meeting in a positive, productive way. And that counts for something too, because that's contagious as well. And it helps to override the toxicity. I thought of a few questions that you might want to ask yourself when you're considering whether or not you should confront the narcissist. One is, how important is it to you? Another question to ask yourself is, how's your support system? Do you have good support to where if you were to confront the narcissist, that people would have your back? Thirdly is, do you have evidence? In my situation today in this meeting, I had evidence. I had witnesses who saw what was going on, and I also had the ability to save the chat in Zoom and forward it to the other officers of the club. Fourthly, what are your goals or expectations around confronting the narcissist? You know, what do you think that you might be able to accomplish? Is there a certain outcome that you're looking for, or a way that you're looking to feel, or maybe something that you're looking to specifically gain or gain back in doing so? So those are 4 questions that you can ask yourself. Now, I thought of 5 things that you should take into consideration. One is that most of the time, the narcissist is not going to own their behavior. This guy did not, he had nothing to say about, he didn't share with people the fact that he was bombing me in the chat with all these harassing messages. He didn't mention that. He was fixated on pointing out, you know, my behavior or what he perceived to be my poor response or reaction to being startled, and not really the fact that he was harassing me in the chat privately, and that it was completely over the top, uncalled for, and just inappropriate. The second thing that you need to take into consideration is that other people don't see it. Some of the people on that Zoom call today didn't see what was happening in the chat. They didn't see it. And not only that, but even when this guy spoke out and tried to shame me in front of the group, they didn't get it. They're like, what's going on? Like, they seriously didn't get it. Otherwise, I'm sure that one of the members would not have invited him to stay afterwards for Q&A. Thirdly, narcissists crave a reaction from you. This is what gives them that supply. This is part of the supply. Also, you need to know that narcissists always expose themselves. And this guy, in true narcissistic fashion, after private messaging me and trying to attack me and cut me down privately, exposed himself to the group. And everyone was creeped out. And I don't think he was self-aware enough to even realize how creepy he came across. Dark, all in shadow, or not having his camera on, but then when he did turn it on, he was like blended into the shadows, and there were these weird lights in his background, and just creepy, and just the creepiness even in his voice and the way that he was speaking to everyone and responding to things. Because he did get involved in some of the group participation, and even in that, it exposed just the oddness of his behavior and made him stand out like a sore thumb. And finally, you need to know that narcissists will run and hide if all else fails. And this is more of the covert behavior, the ducking, the hiding behind the camera on Zoom, hiding out in darkness, in the shadows, literally, so that no one could specifically identify him or them, whoever it is you're dealing with. The bottom line is, you're grown. I will always give you that you are grown and that you are perfectly capable of making a decision as to what you want to do and carrying it out. However, in this particular case, in the context of a professional group meeting on Zoom, I saw exactly what was going on. I saw the narcissist for who and what he was, and I saw the escalation of his attack unfold before he even launched it. And I chose not to react, not to engage him, but to keep a smile on my face, keep it moving, keep it positive, light and fun, and then save the chat, share it with the officers, and make sure that he does not come back. For you, I would encourage you to pour your energy into worthy causes. And a lot of times, like say in the example I gave today, it's a lost cause. Confronting the narcissist can be a lost cause. I can share more about this in future videos, but that would be my encouragement to you today, given what just happened literally in my meeting earlier. Narcissists can be very sneaky, very petty, and very crafty and cunning in baiting you for a reaction, to boost their ego, and to give them an outlet to unleash their emotions in their attempts to self-regulate. Whatever their backstory is, whatever they've experienced is not your fault and not your problem. And you're certainly under no obligation to correct them. And in some cases, it may not be wise to do so. Continue to move forward in a positive, productive, and prosperous fashion, and watch as their behavior exposes them to everyone. You're not alone, and you're not crazy. Know who you're dealing with, know who you are. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.